All right, welcome back to the Powers on Sports podcast presented by Beef O'Brady's. Beef's on the corner of Himes Avenue and Bush Boulevard here in the Carrollwood, Forest Hills area, Tampa. Definitely come on out to Beef's. We'll be out there Thursday night for the Bucks Ravens. Do a little pregame, a little halftime broadcast for you and chatter. So Beef O'Brady's for all of your sports watching needs, whether it's football, basketball, hockey, soccer. We're even going to talk some soccer with my man Ian Hest. World Cup coming up in November. MLS playoffs are winding down, so definitely go to Beefs for all your sports viewing pleasure. So, want to welcome in Ian Hest. He's a reporter down in Miami. He covers all things South Florida sports. Welcome back to the podcast, Ian.
Thanks, man. How you doing?
I'm well. Let's start off with the Canes.
Oh,
what a last time we talked, they were 3-0 heading to Texas A&M, and now it's 3-4 and full dumpster fire in progress. 8 turnovers over the weekend against Duke. Another bad loss at home. What's the state of Miami football? What's going on down there?
Oh, you know the state of Miami football. You called it a dumpster fire in the intro. So, and that it might be even kind right now. Listen, there was always expected to be some growing pains, not this many growing pains. There's something to be said for just how much off the rails this has gotten. It hasn't been good top to bottom, from coaching down to play calling, down to player personnel. There has not been a bright spot to point to and say, oh, this at least this thing has been good. There really isn't. I mean, I guess it's recruiting that in amidst this 4-game losing streak, they still have all 17 of the recruits that they had before this 4-game losing streak. That's the only thing that you can point to as a positive. It really has been disappointing, to say the least. The offense looks abysmal. The defense looks slightly less than abysmal, but still pretty bad. It's just there's no real bright spot here.
What's Mario been saying? I mean, what is he? What I mean, of course he's going to give coach speak. We get it, but what is is he giving you any root problems of what he really thinks is some issues?
Yeah, I mean, you get the typical things that this is a rebuild. He pointed to the fact that Oregon was 4-8. At one point when he was doing his rebuild, left out the fact that they were a 9-10 win team perennially before that. But yeah, I think that from Mario's point of view, listen, this is a man that in his entire 4 years at the University of Miami as a player never lost a single home game. Right. And now he's lost 3 in a row. So, he is probably just as, if not more, frustrated than every single person combined. Right. So I think it's a little unfair to say, oh, well, he doesn't care. He's just in it for the paycheck and he wanted to come home. It's not the case here. Mario is in this for the long haul. He wants to get it right, probably more than anybody. He wants Miami to be a football school, probably more than anybody. And I'm using the word probably incorrectly there, because he wants it more than anybody else. And it just, there are some questions as to, whether he made some of the right hiring moves that probably will be addressed in the offseason, whether his own game management is as good as he thinks it is, right. in terms of some of his play calling and his decision making, especially when it comes to,
timeouts, things like that.
Timeouts, things like that. Yeah, that have gotten a little frustrating. So, listen, this is a marriage. I always like to go back to that. So there's going to be highs and lows. It's a shame that a marriage started with this rocky start, but the hope is that it winds up being a fruitful relationship.
It seems like to me the biggest disappointment's been the quarterback play. I mean, the expectation was Van Dyke was going to take a big step. He was going to be the reason why they won. That's not been the case. Do you sense that this could be the end of the road for Van Dyke at Miami, where he could potentially transfer?
Yeah, well, I actually he probably would turn pro before he transferred. Okay. I would think, but I don't know. Tyler has had a very interesting career. He came in and sort of was this saving grace player. And then from there, it's kind of been not great. He's blamed fans. He's gotten, he has said some things that rubbed a lot of the people the wrong way. Right. Didn't really take a lot of responsibility for some of the mistakes in the beginning of the year. He started to improve. It looked better against UNC. It didn't need to look great. It looked okay.
Right.
And just, there's something different this year with him that just nobody's been really able to put their foot on or finger on the pulse, I guess.
Right.
He got hurt in the last game and probably won't be there for this weekend at least. And that means that Jake Garcia comes in, another true freshman that was supposed to be the saving grace that really looked like a true freshman in that second half against Duke with all the turnovers and everything, really sort of looked lost. And the playbook was very, very limited for him. He tries to make some things that, sort of you need to remind the kid, hey, you're not in high school anymore. You can't make that throw. And he got caught out a couple times on that. Right. And so, yeah, I mean, quarterback was never supposed to be the issue with this team, right? So that's a little bit of a challenge when that's thrown your way. The receivers were going to be an issue for this team, and they haven't helped out. Injuries in the running back room have not helped out. The offensive line can't block, a light pole right now.
So can't block me and you.
Yeah, so that's never going to help. And so, which is odd because while that has been Miami's bugaboo for decades, it's Mario's bread and butter. So,
right. So schematically, that's more of a schematic thing, I think.
So yeah, so I think once he gets his guys in, then maybe that'll be a little better. They're undersized along the line. That doesn't help. Yeah. So I mean, really, the one bright spot is the tight ends. They got great tight ends, but that's so specific that, like, I don't know how many wins you're gonna get with a great tight end room.
All right, let's transition to the pro game. Let's go to the Dolphins. A little more hope there. Tua comes back. We celebrate the 50th anniversary of the perfect season Sunday night against the Steelers. Mike McDaniel, how about kicking a field goal when you're up 6 late third quarter so you don't have to stress the whole fourth? Pittsburgh wasn't scoring 2 more times, I don't think. Kick the field goal. These guys are killing me that go for it on 4th and 3 from the 15-yard line when you can go up 2 scores. I mean, what are these guys? What is he doing?
The funny thing there is that's the rare time where the analytics tell you kick the field goal.
Yes.
Like, we always go to the analytics now and we always say, oh, it tells you to go for it on 4th down so much. That's one of the rare times where it would say your odds of winning improve if you kick the field goal. So for a guy who is so new age and into that stuff, a little bit of a surprising call. Yeah, I mean, it was the first, we talk about the Canes and rookie quarterbacks. Well, this is the first time he looked like a rookie head coach. It wasn't a well called out game. He still is an amazing play caller, especially on offense. I mean, it's next level with him. But yeah, you're right. They should have gone up 2 scores. It would have, helped the blood pressure in South Florida a lot. That's a type of game though that the Dolphins are going to get 3 or 4 of those in the year that are going to make them a dangerous team because they have such a good defense that Tua doesn't need to go crazy for 4 touchdowns in the 4th quarter all the time.
Right.
They can win a game like that and look fairly solid. And you go, how do the Dolphins just control a 16-10 game like that? That's the type of game that's going to make them a dangerous team come later on in the season.
They've got a doable schedule his next month. Tua comes back. Again, he looked good. I give him credit for running because everybody says, don't run, don't run, don't run. And 2 different times he stuck his shoulder in right into the defender on a running play. And I know they don't want him doing that. I get it, but I'll give him credit for doing it to get that mental block probably for him. It was probably more for him to do it for himself than anything else because again, nobody wants to see him run. We get it, but from what he's gone through, but for him, I'll give him credit for doing it.
Yeah, I agree. I still think that, and he's been very honest about this the whole time that, that a lot of the concern is nice, but he still has a career to play. And he doesn't want this to be defining of him. People were telling him to quit football and he's out here saying, I don't know what you guys, I had 1 concussion and it didn't look great, but so he's talked a lot about that. I think that he more than anybody probably wants to move on from this and get back to playing football, get back to being that sort of guy. And it's us that are keeping it in the ether right now for understandable reasons. But
Sure.
But he probably would like to just focus on the football. And if a play is to be made, he wants to make it.
If he can stay healthy, they got a chance here. They with the weapons they have on offense and the defense is good enough. It's not tremendous, but it's good enough. If he can stay healthy with McDaniel calling plays, I think they got a chance to be a serious wild card team.
I agree with you, and not for nothing, they're doing it with 3rd string cornerbacks right now, a linebacker room that isn't set. So The really, Tyreek Hill has been revolutionary to say the least, and forgive me for stating the obvious. But he's going to challenge for the all-time single-season receiving yards mark at this point. He's on pace for it.
Yep.
And Jalen Waddle has had some drops here and there, but it's still a tremendous wide receiver. So when you throw all that together, if they can fight a little bit of a running game, that might be really nice. But yeah, they have all the makings of a team in this modern NFL that can challenge pretty much any team in the league.
No, I agree. They still got games with Buffalo. They got one more game with Buffalo, right? Yep.
Yeah, they got the one in Buffalo.
They're not going to.
The sun isn't out for that game. Buffalo fans were very upset about the sun in Miami in September.
They're not going to win the division, but they'll definitely be in serious play for that first or second wild card spot for sure in the AFC, because I think they got a chance to do some damage if Tua can stay healthy and all that good stuff. All right, I'm going to ask you a Marlins question, then we'll get to some MLS. Any chatter about Don Mattingly's replacement with the Marlins?
Yeah, they're saying that it's down to like 4 candidates. One of them, I think, probably the favorite is Skip Schumacher. But they're also saying that there's some sort of mystery candidate. I think Barry Jackson from the Miami Herald had that earlier this week. That I was trying to figure out who that possibly could be. Maybe Raul Ibanez, but I think that he already interviewed. So I wouldn't imagine that he would be this like late come mystery candidate. And so I think that, yeah, they're narrowing it down. I think probably by Thanksgiving time, if I'm stretching it out that long, probably beforehand, maybe shortly after the World Series, they'll probably make an announcement.
Yeah. What is the state of is it just malaise concerning the Marlins down there? Is there any enthusiasm at all?
Yeah, I mean, malaise is a good word. There isn't really hope. I mean, you saw what Stanton was doing. You saw what all was going on, and the Marlins are stuck in this not even like mediocre purgatory like the Dolphins were for years. They're stuck in bad purgatory. They're stuck in 68, 72 win seasons. It's really, I mean, I guess Sandy Alcantara is where you look to for hope, but you have to have some offense around them. That offense was absolutely abysmal this year, and you're trying to sell an interesting product with boring baseball. It's not a great sell right now.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to your wheelhouse. One of the things you really enjoy, some MLS soccer, World Cup soccer. Ian's the host and founder of the Heron Outlet, which covers Inter Miami FC. They made their first playoff appearance this year in the playoffs. So congratulations to the Mr. David Beckham and company down there. How is that? The whole Beckham ownership group, how is that taking on life and legs down in South Florida as well?
Yeah, they're doing a very good job. I think that they're doing a very good job of not being celebrity owners, if that could be possible. Beckham does a lot of stuff behind the scenes and stays as much out of the limelight as possible. They sit in the owner's suite and all that. Jorge Mas is the primary owner and very involved in team, day-to-day operations, which I think is good. They figured out a good culture and a good strategy moving forward here. They were hit with the largest sanctions in the league history because they accidentally cheated, giving an extra player too much money, and they didn't do the bookkeeping right and broke the salary cap rules. So they're under that. But the fact that they made the playoffs, even still, they have a good culture going. You have a lot of the fan base is very happy with the way things are going, given how tumultuous it was to start. I mean, every weird thing in the book was thrown at this team to start. So now that it's settling down a little more, it feels like they even could, if they were to get some of the stars that has been talked about that coming, they wouldn't know what to do with them, 2 years ago. Now you saw what happened with Gonzalo Higuain, an Argentinian legend, who's now retiring. They are in a much better place to be able to have some of these larger stars that they talked about in the beginning.
What names are they banting about guys coming?
Yeah, they like to throw, stuff at the wall and see what sticks in the transfer portal all the time. There are rumors all over the place. Obviously, Lionel Messi is the one that everybody has been talking about since before the club even existed. Ronaldo obviously is allowed to come on a free transfer right now, so I have to mention them. I think there's somewhere in my contract that requires it. But there are some big time players. Sergio Busquets has been rumored. a longtime Spanish midfielder, played at Barcelona. Has been rumored in the offseason to be interested if that's the case. And they have some great young stars. Leo Campana, who's on loan from Premier League Wolverhampton Wanderers. They had the option to sign him if they so choose. I expect them to do that, and he'll be an under 23 player for them, so it comes with special perks. They have Bryce Duke, who was one of the top 23 players under 23 years old in the league this year. So they have some nice young talent that they're mixing in with it too.
All right, let's get to the MLS semifinals. We got LAFC and Austin. The cool thing about Miami is there's opportunity for expansion in young franchises to make runs. Austin, Texas, in their second year, I believe, they're in the conference finals out west with LAFC. You got Philly, and then you got NYFC. I think NYFC's who beat your Miami team in the first round. Talk about your knowledge of those teams and what do you expect to see?
Yeah, NYCFC are the defending MLS Cup champions, right? So this is uncharted territory in the expanded playoffs that we have for a team to be making a back-to-back run like they are. I really still feel like this is Philly's to lose, especially given the city of Philadelphia seems to have done sort of something with the witch doctor to help them out. So everything seems to be going up for that city right now. I think that the Union are stacked top to bottom, which is amazing considering they spend probably less than almost every team in the league. They've done it really smart with how they put together that roster, their attack, the three up top, even with the former Inter Miami guy, Julian Carranza, leading the way. They've been beating teams 7-6-0 at times this year. It's really been a hammerlock on it. LAFC would be the overwhelming favorites to go past Austin. I think even though Austin did beat them in the 2 regular season meetings, I think that LAFC is sort of wants to feel like this team of destiny. They would host MLS Cup final if they make it. They have the stars. They feel like this is their time. They were the Supporters Shield champions this past year. So I really think that what and even Austin, I can't leave them out. I mean, they have the MVP in Sebastian Giussi for my vote at least. And so you have these 4 teams that really are MLS is sort of known for its parity all the time. That the 7 seed, the 6 seed can make a run toward the final. These are really the 4 best teams, and with the exception of Montreal, who NYCFC knocked out. These are the best teams in the league. This is a juggernaut of a semifinal, probably the best semifinal we've had in at least the past decade. Just in terms of quality, these are great teams. That any 4 of them is absolutely a worthy champion.
What do you think? What are your thoughts on the coverage of MLS on FS1, ESPN, a little bit of ABC? Do you think they do a good job on the production side of things?
Yeah, I think the production side, and the commentators who are, Taylor Twellman, Stu Holden, these guys are tremendously knowledgeable in the field, and I think that they do a good job. The part that I guess would be a little disappointing is you're going up against NFL football. Right. You're throwing and you're doing it because the game's going to be on ABC, for example. You have the Western Conference semifinal is going to kick off Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. That's a Western Conference semi that's kicking off at noon local time.
Right.
And it's going up against the NFL. Like, you would hope that you could have figured out a better time for that to be played. Right. And so I think with the Apple TV deal that kicks in next year, that'll be less of an issue because you're not dealing with broadcast partners like that. The only thing that you'd like to see is, more coverage of, First Take, Get Up talking about it, right. And get a little more of that discussion in the air to be able to go on a show like yours and be able to talk about it a lot more.
What do you think of the app? Again, talk to the audience that many people don't know. MLS is going to is it all Apple or is it just a portion of the schedule going to Apple?
No, all games will be streamed on Apple TV. That means no local blackouts, so you could get any game at any time.
Okay.
On Apple TV, it's 100% accessible. You don't have to do a separate subscription. It's just with Apple TV.
So no more ESPN or FS1.
Nope. It's all well. They're working out a way to put some premier games on maybe on an ESPN or ESPN2 or Fox Sports 1. But for the most part, every single game is on Apple TV.
Do you think that's going to be beneficial? Because, again, that requires fans to have another subscription, and it kind of limits the audience to some degree, especially come playoff time in your big moments.
Yeah, it's an interesting case study, that's for sure. They're jumping in. They're the first ones to do this. And I think that for a sport like soccer, their fan base is more comfortable handling something like this that I think lends itself to it. Most fans of MLS teams are also fans of a Premier League team or
Right.
of a team in Europe that are used to having to get a streaming service, whether it be Peacock or whether it be Paramount Plus.
Right.
So they're sort of accustomed to it already, which is I think helpful for them. Where the challenge will be, to your point, is always bringing in new fans. It won't be over the air terrestrial television that people are used to. So they'll need to search it out. And that always comes with it an added barrier to creating new fans. I think the fans that they have, it'll be a seamless transition, but adding to that fan base definitely comes with challenges.
So less than a month away, World Cup starts in Qatar. Again, a very exciting time. They're going to this new format where they're playing over the Thanksgiving, basically from Thanksgiving to
One
New
time
Year.
only. One time only.
Right. But it's going to be an interesting part of the calendar because you're going to be competing against college football, the NFL, NBA. The cool thing is there's going to be games every day during the week, kind of deal. Just talk about what your thoughts are about that whole process and of playing during the kind of the holiday time of the year here in America.
It'll be fun, right? I mean, I hope at least that people enjoy it. It'll be very different. It's completely messed with the international soccer calendar,
right?
Because we're stopping the middle of the season for this now, and teams have been all over the place. The one thing that you're going to unfortunately find that is happening leading up to the World Cup is a lot of injuries, because teams just aren't used to having to navigate a condensed schedule like this.
Right.
It just is an unfair, unfortunate byproduct of this situation. But the World Cup is always fun. It comes with, yes, a lot of controversy because of it being in Qatar and everything that happened, with human rights issues and safety issues and things that have been discussed, and decency laws that are so-called decency laws that Qatar has, that have really, I guess, put a little bit of a stain on this. But yeah, the World Cup is always going to be enjoyable once every 4 years, and it comes to the U.S. next time. So I think that now that it's here, once the games start, everybody will get excited.
Give me a little preview of the American team. I know Berhalter's, they've struggled the last few months, haven't played great. Just give the audience a little preview of what you expect out of the American team in that group with they got England. What are the other two teams in that
England,
group?
Wales, and Iran for now. So let's just get that out of the way. There is a large call right now to replace Iran in the World Cup. I think it's very unlikely to happen due to their involvement with the war in Ukraine.
Right.
I don't think, and the protests that are going on currently in Iran. So just we'll put that aside. I doubt anything happens there, but it is being talked about. For the Americans, yeah, they have a group that on paper you would say they should get out of. That being said, they haven't played like a team that is going to, especially in those last games, especially against Japan, which is probably the most indicative of what they're going to find at the World Cup. They didn't look great against Saudi Arabia either, though. So Berhalter loves his system. It is what it is. He lives and dies by it, and the Americans are most assuredly going to. It is not always as appeasing to fans. It is very rigid. Everybody. So the way that he sort of does it is he breaks the field up into 9 quadrants: 3 in the top third, 3 in the middle third, 3 in the bottom third, and everybody's assigned into their quadrant. So you will see guys that will literally stop runs that they're making and then go back, and you'll say, why'd you do that? Like, just keep going, man, keep going. And so it will look very structurally organized at times, almost maddeningly organized. Against a team like England, that could help them. Against a team like Wales, that could hurt them. And watch out for Wales. I think that they're probably, if anybody's going to steal the United States' lunch and get out of this group, it'd probably be England and Wales.
I got you. All right. So where will you be? I mean, is this must watch? I mean, are you like me? I'll find a way to watch these games every single day during the tournament because it's so, it's just, what time will the games be starting here typically?
Some start at 8. They'll go throughout the day though into the afternoon. All the US games will be in the afternoon.
They typically play I think 3 games a day typically.
It's 8, noon, and 3, I believe.
Yeah, so you'll be able to see that on. I think FS1 is the exclusive provider there, so you'll be able to, whether it's Fox Sports or FS1, you'll be able to catch all your games. Ian, great job, man. Keep up the great work. Get down in the South Florida area. Tell everybody where they can find you online.
Yeah, at Ian Hest, IANHEST. And you mentioned the Heron Outlet. We'll have a bunch of fun stuff going on with the Heron Outlet throughout the World Cup. So at the Heron Outlet on Twitter and on Instagram as well.
Awesome, man. Keep up the great work, man. We'll be in touch.
Thanks, Jason.
Got it.